Hello, everybody. Welcome to Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades. I am Matt Connerton, and with me, of course, the Honorable Gary S. Hopper.
Well, I'm not that honorable. I didn't go to the legislature today. We didn't have legislative day. The weather was too bad.
So, in other words, you're a slacker. And you.
So's Pat. Pat's with us today.
Well, yeah.
He was slacking.
You were slacking as well, Pat.
I did shave today, though.
You did shave, and Gary didn't.
Gary didn't, though.
Gary didn't shave, so Gary is the slacker.
Extra slacking.
You're honorably slacking.
I was slacking honorably.
Yes, yes.
Absolutely. Oh, so they went down to Margaritas for. I brought my sons drove me because the weather's crappy and I didn't want to drive home. So we went down to Margaritas and they were doing. A lady down there named Bianca. They're doing. They have. They let the charity come into the place. And they do a 50-50 raffle and some other stuff down there. I think that's pretty cool that the businesses down there are helping people out and letting charities in there.
It's good to see. Yeah.
Yeah, it is good to see. So anyway, Matt, as you know, I'm a genius.
Oh, yes.
And I think I've mentioned that quite a few times.
You're a regular Ron Popeil. Remember Ron Popeil?
Is that?
He's another genius.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So anyway, we were talking. We had the legislation in the House about bed bugs, and I says, okay, if you build a better mousetrap, people, build something to your house or something and pay you lots of money. So I think that's a direct quote.
My grandfather used to say that
about,
but he had dementia. So
yeah. So I identify with that. So anyway. I did a lot of research and I came up with the perfect bed bug trap. Okay.
Really?
Yes. This is how it works. This is not in there because I didn't fill it because I had to transport. You fill this with water, warm water, and about a cup of sugar, and you mix that up, and you mix in yeast, right?
Okay.
Okay. And what happens is the carbon dioxide leaves the top, and it goes down into here, and that's pretty common. You can build yourself a big bug trap for about $5. Wow. But that's not good enough.
Right.
That's really not good enough. Because what happens is they're attracted to the carbon dioxide and then they go down into here and they slide down in because you usually put some talcum powder or something on there so that it becomes slippery.
Yeah.
But they're smart bugs, so they're gonna figure a way out. So anyway, this is my idea. But inside, you can't see it on the camera. It's too small because they're bed bugs. They're wicked, tiny, itsy bitsy.
Yeah. You need
so inside,
magnifying glass or something. To
most traps are going to try to figure out a way out. Once they're trapped, they're going to try to figure a way out, and they could, do whatever to do that. And I says, well, there's got to be a better way. And this is where the genius comes in. Can we have picture one?
Oh, right here. Yeah, sure.
Oh. As a matter of fact, we can.
We can.
We're going to have that any second now.
So this is what the bed bugs, you can see it on there, are going to see when they first fall down into the trap.
Okay.
There's picture one.
Picture.
And the idea is to try to.
There we go.
Okay, that's the first level.
Okay.
Okay, so now they're looking down there and go, holy crap, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to figure a way out, they're going down the hall saying, this is pretty. I call it the Hotel California.
Yeah.
You can check in anytime you want, but you can never leave.
Yeah.
And then on the next picture, you'll see some of the stuff in there. There's the pool tables.
Okay.
Specially designed. They're itsy bitsy teeny weeny pool tables.
Right.
And on the next picture, we got that further down the hall, a casino.
Wow.
Right? Am I right? That's going to attract them? They're going to go in there. They're going to spend all their money.
I know you oppose gambling, but you don't care because they're bed bugs,
They're bed
right?
bugs.
Yeah.
They're bed bugs. That's different.
Yeah.
Okay, then the next picture, right? Okay, so this is where it goes. After a hard day of partying and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, did we get the picture number of the other picture?
Are we missing a picture?
Yeah, I thought so.
This is what we got, but hold on, watch.
No. Okay, there was supposed to be there's live entertainment too.
Oh, is there?
They must not have sent the picture.
Yeah, this is the last one.
Yeah. So anyway, they're tired.
Yeah.
They go into you can't see that, but that's bed is specially designed by me because I'm the genius, right?
Yes.
And once they rest in the bed and they hit the remote.
Then it's lights out, literally for the bed bugs.
Exactly.
Yes,
Is that awesome?
That's great.
So
that's
anyway,
amazing.
how much would you expect to pay for? Because you only need like 2 of these in your room.
Yeah. But you got a casino in there and everything, so I mean, probably tens of thousands of dollars. Well, I'll say $10,000.
No, Matt, not now. Matt, you can have this for $5,000.
Really?
So you only need $10,000 for a whole room.
Really?
And is that a good deal?
That's
That's an amazing deal.
literally half what I was expecting to have to
Exactly.
pay.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
that's
if you act now, you get 2 things of yeast.
really?
Yes.
And
that-
how many things of yeast do you usually get?
I don't know.
Oh.
First time I've sold them.
Oh, okay. All
But
right.
if people want them for $5,000, they can just send me cash only,
Yeah. Yeah.
to my
well, yeah,
house.
Yeah.
and it's
That's phenomenal.
I hosed you, 107 Buxton School Road,
Mm-hmm.
Ware, New Hampshire.
Okay.
$5,000 cash, no refunds.
No. Well, of course not.
Anyway, so that's my invention for today.
That's phenomenal, Gary. That's
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that. And as soon as I have an extra $5,000, I'm going to place an order with you.
I would hope.
I mean, it'll be someday.
I ain't right. So anyway,
You're
So-
a genius, is what you are.
I know that.
Right.
I know. We've already talked about that many times.
Yes.
It gets worse. It gets worse.
I'm sure it does.
Do we want to introduce your companions?
I shall. This actually about 4 years. We got this Manchester entity called the Bedbug Action Committee.
Okay.
There's a group of us that meet, and their companies have been involved. Actually, Gary has been involved. Gary Nielsen with JP Pest, and Ralph, your last name?
Blumenthal.
With Atlantic
Atlantic Pest.
Pest Control
Yeah.
out of Maine, and we've been working on addressing the issues within the state.
In the state, is there more than? It wasn't just Manchester, though.
No.
Don't we have them on
No,
Portsmouth?
Yeah, that's that's the misnomer that it's a Manchester issue. It's not at all. It's in Nashua, it's in Keene, it's in Durham, Dover. It's in all. It's up north in Berlin, Claremont. Over the years, we've heard of 2 camps that shut down. 2 kid camps that
Really?
shut
Oh,
down
really?
because of bed bugs. Actually, Gary could probably address that better than I can. He's in the business. Where were you going through?
We've been to every
Hampshire?
corner of the state.
Yeah.
Every,
These
every
mics are picking
place.
them up. Or?
Yeah, I think you got to get a lot closer.
Yeah.
Sorry,
That-
every
that
place you
one
can
too,
go
actually.
to in this state. Just imagine any city, any town can have them. There's no geographical restriction as far as bed bugs are concerned, because they've figured us out. They know how to move with our stuff, and we schlep stuff all over the place. We move.
What do you mean they know how to move with your stuff?
Well,
Oh,
they-
you mean like
your computer bag, your purse, your backpack, your luggage, anything you store in and around the bed, they're in it in no time.
Wow. So that's how they because they didn't. When was the first report of bed bugs in New Hampshire?
It's probably early 2000s, late 1999, something like that.
Okay.
Yep.
And they've been spreading their wings, so to speak, ever since.
Right.
Now, I thought this was very interesting because, as Pat knows, as a legislator, and I've been up there a while, usually when you get a bill to the committee, there's the people that are trying to promote the bill, and then there's a group with them, and then there's another group that says no, and there's a group with them. This was like this legislation that we just passed the House. It was like the parting of the seas,
Yeah.
because like everybody came into the committee, landlords, pest control people, entomologists. Pat was one. You're the prime sponsor, correct?
Correct.
And just all these groups together came in and says, "We really need this, please."
No kidding.
Yeah, it was like, wow. I wanted to, as a member of the committee, I wanted to sign off on it just because it was so unusual.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the seriousness of this. That's the seriousness of this. That everybody knows something has to be done. So, tenants can't say, "I'm not supporting this unless I don't pay nothing." Landlords can't say, "I'm not supporting this unless I pay nothing." It's landlords' property that they're trying to protect.
Yeah.
So they knew something has to be done. And like I was telling you earlier, the bill was a lot stricter than that. We worked hand in hand to get it down to where everybody would agree.
Right.
What does the bill say? What does it address?
Well, it addresses tenant and landlord responsibilities.
Okay.
So it addresses, if there's a report of bed bugs, the landlord can enter within 72 hours. Doesn't need permission. I mean, I'm sure they're going to ask for permission, but if
Yeah.
they don't get it, they can still go in there to address the problem. If the landlord could prove that the tenant brought it in, for example, if they're bringing in mattresses or furniture off the streets,
Yeah.
there's a likelihood that that's where they're coming from. Then the tenant is responsible for the payment.
Okay.
So, basically, that's what it does. It's,
Yeah.
there's a stigma with bed bugs. Nobody wants to mention that they have bed bugs. So what happens is it doesn't take very long, and actually Gary could address, how quickly units become infested.
Really?
And they wait till they can't stand it no more, and then they'll tell, hey, then they'll call everybody and say, hey, I'm getting, 10, 20, 30 bites a night here. What's going on? My kids are getting bit all over the place. What's going on? I need help. And by then it's a little late. So, I mean,
Yeah.
Gary, you could probably explain
Right,
how
what
quick.
we're talking about is like 200 to 700 eggs per female. And if you do the math, with a life cycle, that's, 5 to 8 weeks, something like that,
Their
on the
whole life
short
cycle's
end.
5 to 8
Yeah,
weeks.
yeah. Even shorter than that, we're finding out now. So that, in the hot, humid days of summer and so on, their life cycle will be much faster than that. So within 3 months period of time, you've got, 200 cubed almost, right?
Okay.
And, by the time you get there, you're up to around 35 to 40,000 bed bugs. So
Okay.
that's quite a jump, exponential growth.
Wow.
And so how long does it take for, like, if it was hazy, hot, and humid out, excuse me, would it take for, like, a bed bug to take over an apartment building, or do they travel from other apartments quickly and easily, or
Well, they don't
do
really
they have to be necessarily attracted to carbon dioxide to be motivated to move?
Yeah,
or?
they don't have a mindset of, well, let's move to this other apartment because there's somebody there. As long as they have a food source where they are, they'll stay in one bedroom, and another bedroom where someone else is sleeping will be completely free of bed bugs. So they're happy to be where they are as long as they have a constant blood meal.
So basically, if you have bed bugs, you should actually just let your brother-in-law sleep in that bed, and then you'd be okay. It saves everybody else.
Or some other family. I assume it wouldn't have to just be a brother-in-law, but
Like a
any
mother-in-law.
any family member would do. I would
not,
think.
Not crazy about any
Right.
right.
Preferably, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, we're getting trouble, but pets also, they'll feed on pets.
Well, we usually like the pet, so I don't think that's necessarily a good example. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Plus, the pets have a lot to contend with anyway, with fleas and whatever else, fleas and ticks, and you don't want to throw bed bugs into the equation
right.
or into the fur or cat hair or whatever,
You all done? So
dog hair. Now I'm done.
okay. Are they any? Because I have eczema, and I have been fighting dust mites. Are there any kind of correlation between them, or are they just same creepy looking type of creature?
No, the only connection you could come up with between dust mites and bed bugs is the covers that we have, the mattress encasements, were designed to exclude or contain dust mites for those that were allergic to them.
Right.
So that's about the only connection you could draw between them. I brought some in if you want to take a look at them. I don't know if you can or not, but they're all dead. They're all in hand sanitizer. But,
They're in hand sanitizer.
right.
Huh.
Yeah, you don't worry about it. They'll find you.
That's right.
Don't feel like you went home without one. They'll find you.
Yeah, I've never actually seen one.
I don't know. When a Democrat hands you something like this, you don't feel all
you go.
that warm and fuzzy.
Trust me.
Trust me.
So that's what they look like, huh? So you don't need a magnifying glass to see
No,
them.
that's right.
Huh.
It's one of the very common misperceptions
Yeah.
that they're invisible. And they're not invisible.
I'll be damned.
And when you think of a bed bug, you want to think of an apple seed. They're about the size and the shape as an adult, as an apple seed, but highly flattened,
Yeah.
so that they can squeeze into any crack or crevice that you can put a business card or a credit card or something like that.
Huh.
Okay. You know what?
Some of the nymphs might be harder to see,
Yeah.
initially, but as they shed that exoskeleton and they develop, they get to that size.
Huh. No kidding.
So what do we do about these lovely little creatures?
Yeah, actually what would be good for your audience is what do you do? What are the initial steps you take when you first
Right.
recognize that? You have
After
a
you've
problem?
paid $5,000 to me for one of those.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, are there cheaper methods?
Well, you hit the nail right on the head. I mean, early detection and detecting these things when you can't see them, because again, they're feeding at night primarily, at least when you're starting out, unless you work the night shift, in which case they'll change their behavior. But anything you can do to detect them early and pick them up, because they spend 90% of their time back in these cracks and crevices hiding, and only a very small amount of time out in the open. So it's
So
tough
they're
to know
not-
if you've got them or not.
Okay.
One of the important things, I think, is the education piece, is trying to, become as educated as you possibly can. We do a lot of education, as well as Gary's organization does, landlords, tenants. But I did a Google search this morning looking for something on bed bugs, and I just put in bed bugs as a search word, and 27.5 million sites. So
Wow.
you have to be, you want to sort of know which sites to go to too, because some sites are just garbage. I didn't see your invention on the
No?
web this morning either.
Oh,
Well,
but you will.
So
invented
I'd
that,
say,
so-
yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe
that-
on a-
They had a lot of interesting ones, but nothing like that,
No,
Gary.
I know.
have to
No,
say.
it's not. It's
You need an infomercial.
Right,
Yeah.
there you
well,
go.
Yeah.
Oh, we have a call.
Uh-oh.
We have a call. Maybe it's a bed bug. Hi, welcome to Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades. Who's on the line?
Yeah, Steve,
Hi, Steve.
how you doing?
Good.
Ask your guest, what are bed bugs? How are they created? Are they created through mice or some kind of?
You mean
like-
carried?
How do they become established?
And weren't they eradicated years ago when they were using DDT? And I guess the environmentalists stopped using DDT. So there's been quite a epidemic going on right now.
Do you guys know anything about that?
Sure. Well, as far as getting bed bugs established, we are the vectors of bed bugs. We transmit bed bugs from one place to another. They've got us figured out in terms of getting onto our luggage and our handbags and so on and so forth, and moving any place that we move. When we move furniture, when we change apartments, whatever, we're carrying them with us and we're moving them right in. So they're the first ones to move in. So
Right, but my question is, how are they created?
Well, they were never, Steve. They were never eradicated. When they outlawed DDT, there was, I believe, they got it down to 10% or something, from what I hear of the history that I've been told. But they were never eradicated, so it just took 50 years again for them to resurface at an infestatious time. So they were never eradicated. Actually, there are some states that are requesting the feds to allow them to use DDT again because their states are that bad off.
Wow.
You know, when did they stop using DDT?
50s,
1970.
Yeah.
1970.
It became outlawed in the 70s, but they stopped
Around
using it.
1970? Now, let me ask you a question to your guests. I was watching, I think it was MeTV, and there was a commercial that came on, and this doctor, he's got a book out, and it's how to cure all different types of pests, spiders, beetles, you name it. And he says you can eradicate the bed bug by taking, the dryers, those little
Dryer sheets. Yeah,
dryer sheets.
yeah, I saw that.
Is that true?
Go ahead, Gary. You
No,
guys
definitely-
are the experts. They do this for a job.
Okay, I'm going to let you go, Steve.
All right.
Have a good night, bud. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
You want to answer that? The dryer sheets.
What is that all about?
I've never seen that, and again, I think there's a lot of things out there that people will tell you that can be used. A lot of it doesn't work. Most of it doesn't work, and DDT will never come back for lots of different reasons. And one of the main reasons is it won't work today, just like it stopped working back in the 40s to control bed bugs. So
Well, now, how did they used to use it to control bed bugs in the 40s versus now? Because you'd think if they were reckless with it, you could really harm little kids.
They were spraying it in cribs prior to putting the baby.
Oh,
I have a commercial
Yep.
with a crib and a baby, and they're telling you to spray your crib before you put your baby in
Right.
to keep them away from the bug.
It was an issue of resistance to the material itself. That's why DDT isn't being used anymore. And that's what we're running into today, as I'm sure Gary
And we'd be
could
really
expand
remiss
on.
if we didn't mention that to everybody, because
Yeah.
the reason we don't use DDT is because it wouldn't work today. And it wasn't working in the 40s, in the late 40s. We had an issue with resistance to DDT. And the reason we're having the problems we are today is that it's a different class of chemicals. You know, DDT is a chlorinated hydrocarbon. Pyrethroids, which we're using primarily now, are a similar ring structure, but they don't have chlorine associated with them. They don't have that atom. Makes them different, but there's enough similarity that they think there's cross resistance to both pesticides. And that's
Okay.
why we have such a problem we have now. They switched, and not a lot of people know it, to another class of chemicals after DDT, and they helped with bed bugs. But bed bugs never really went away. They've become more resistant. They've figured us out better than they have ever in the past, and that's why they're resurging and they're back. But they never went away.
Now, what about the? Because I did some research before this show, and they were talking. And I mentioned it to you before the show. I forgot what the heck it was called, though.
Oh, the diatomaceous earth.
Diatomaceous earth. What is that, and why does that help? I was really strange because I did a YouTube search, and some guy came and get my diatomaceous earth that is, you can eat it. He said the guy had a video of him eating a spoonful of it a day because it was going to
Yep.
help and it just seemed a little bit ridiculous. But what is that, and why does that work, and how do you use it?
Well, I mean, for people to use diatomaceous earth is a silicon material. It's the shells of small diatoms, which are little algae, unicellular algae. And they have all sorts of spines and processes on them that makes them very sharp. And they absorb the cuticular waxes of the bug. And why is that important? Well, the bug is very, very flattened, so it has very, very high surface area, lots of surface area, very, very small volume. When you have lots of surface area and very small volume, you're very subject to drying out. Okay. So you may think, well, they hide back in cracks and crevices because they're trying to avoid predators or something like that. But they're really trying to preserve as much moisture as they possibly can. That's why they spend 90% of their time in those cracks and crevices. And they'll, almost make them like caves and enclose themselves in it to keep the humidity up so that they don't dry out. So they're very subject to drying out. Anything we can do to reduce the humidity, anything we can do to reduce and increase the airflow and dry them out will kill them.
We have a caller. Mike is on the line. Hi, Mike. Welcome to the show. Mike, are you there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, yep. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I just had a quick question. What is the cost for a company to come in and or fumigate or whatever you call it, eradicate these bed bugs per room or per square foot or however they figure it out? I'm just curious. And I'll hang up and listen.
All right, Mike. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
A lot of that is, there's no set price necessarily. There are some variables. In fact, there's a lot of variables. It depends on whether you're going to use insecticides alone, if you're going to use insecticides in heat, if you're going to use heat alone, if you're going to use cold. So it's really variable, several hundreds of dollars to several thousands of dollars, and it depends on, not that I'm not trying to give you an answer, but it can vary
So,
significantly.
like if you had like a couple, two-bedroom apartment, typical two-bedroom apartment, one of the treatments they talked about in committee was raising the room temperature up to about 130 degrees.
Yep.
And that treatment is supposed to basically, I guess, dry them out,
Exactly.
fundamentally,
Yeah.
right?
You gotta make sure you have the flow, the airflow. I mean, if they're trapped under your mattress and the air's not getting to them,
Right.
it's not gonna work.
It's not just a matter of heat, it's a matter of
Right.
heat and air circulation.
Okay.
And it's a matter of, think of a convection oven where that air is always circulating, and that's how the turkey can cook in 20 minutes instead of 3 hours. That's basically the same thing with the heat remediation. And there have been some fires, there have been buildings that have been burned down, lots of problems
That kills
with
them,
the heat.
though, right?
It will kill, it definitely will kill them. Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, back to Mike's question, what would, if I found bed bugs in my apartment,
Mm-hmm.
and I called you, what would be the scenario? I mean, what could I expect?
We might give you some prices over the phone, some broad prices over ranges, so that you would know what to expect. There's nothing worse than saying, well, we'll just come out and we'll give you a price, then we get there and we tell you it's going to be, let's just use an arbitrary number of $700 to treat that apartment, and you're thinking it's going to cost $70. So, we'll try to give you some numbers to think about, and then come out and take a look at it, firm those up. And again, it depends on which process you're going to use in order to get to the end. You also don't want to do just one treatment generally. You want to do several treatments with the insecticides especially. Even the heat has its downsides. Heat is, as Gary will attest to, if a bed bug is out here and you expose it to 122 degrees, it will die almost instantly. But that's not what you're concerned about, because there's furniture in the rooms, there's couches, chairs, there's pillows, the bed bugs are in the mattress, they're in the box spring, so you have to get the temperature of those items up to that lethal temperature, not just the ambient air. So it's
And that also gets the
eggs and
the eggs.
the larval, the nymphal
the
stages
eggs
will
is
die
what
as
the
well.
issue is.
Yes.
Gary,
Yeah.
Right, and I'm sure Ralph would agree. The first thing you would do is confirm that you have bed bugs,
Yeah.
because we've seen some real horror stories where people think that they have bed bugs. You send an entire crew out, and they don't have bed bugs. So what both of our companies do is we have someone that goes out and inspects first, confirms what level of bed bug situation they have, because if it's a very small population of bed bugs, it's very easy to control. It'll be inexpensive. If it's a single family home, you don't have the issue of reintroduction. Okay, it's not coming from other apartments and being reintroduced. It's much easier to control in that kind of situation, and it's much easier to get what Mike said, which is eradication. Eradication is something we can't achieve in most apartment complexes. It's just a fact of life. We lost the bed bugs 2 generations ago. We also lost the knowledge to control bed bugs 2 generations ago. So we have to treat it as a pest that we have to manage. That doesn't mean people have to be bit all the time. It just means that we have to be constantly expecting to see it, expecting to find it, and expecting to deal with it.
What do you mean we lost the knowledge of how to?
Well, our great-grandparents had what they called spring and fall cleaning. Part of that process was to take the bed outside and treat it and burn the mattress. I'm not promoting anyone burning their mattress now, but, that's what they did.
Yeah.
They knew that was a time, 6 months into the year, that they had to do something to whack back this population so that they could get a decent night's sleep.
Oh, so spring cleaning was typically a retaliation against the poor innocent little bed bugs.
Right.
Huh.
Time to take revenge.
I'm curious about the horror
they vote?
stories. What'd you say?
Nothing. Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say, I'm curious about some of the horror stories you mentioned where people think they have bed bugs and then they don't. Like, how does that happen? Is it like somebody, maybe their pet has fleas or something and they think it's bed bugs, or what?
Well, Ralph mentioned the 2 million, something hits he got off the internet, right?
Yeah.
There's so much erroneous information out there. People can be convinced in their minds that they've got bed bugs because
Yeah.
they're itching, they're scratching, they're not able to sleep at night. But that could be for a whole variety of reasons,
I
not
do that
for
just
just
for
bed bugs.
eczema,
Right.
so-
There you go.
Well, and that's one of the issues too, as Gary said, that we lost a generation, of people who knew about bed bugs, and in our industry we lost a generation or several generations, because I remember back in the early to mid '70s doing bed bug service, and then we stopped doing it. And I think we saw a resurgence in the bed bugs in about 1997, and certainly over the last several years. But we have pest control people who didn't know what a bed bug looked like. People coming out of, no disrespect to entomologists and people in the business who didn't know what a bed bug looked like.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they hadn't been around for so long. And there's a lot of misinformation, there's a lot of misdiagnoses. Doctors, people in the healthcare field, a lot of them don't know what a bed bug is. They'll tell you it might be a bed bug. It could be a dermatitis reaction from carpet beetles. It could be eczema. It could be a reaction to a medication that they've taken that mimics bed bugs. Could be fleas. Several different things.
Because there's no way to know from the bite what bit you.
Really?
Unless you see the animal actually on you, biting you, and you feel pain at that exact location at that exact time. That's the only way you can definitively make that connection.
Now, how do you, is that when you put out like double-sided tape on stuff and try to collect them, or is that when you call one of you guys and?
You can, if you, the key to identification or trying to find out if you have a problem is inspecting, knowing what you're looking for. And sometimes that's easier said than done. But once you get the basics of where to look and what to look for, if you find something and you're not sure what it is, then you can go to a company like Gary's or ours, or you can send it to us. You can do, smartphones are great. You can take a shot of it, send it to us. Saves a lot of time. You can go to University of New Hampshire. Department of Entomology has, people who will identify. In Maine, we have the same, counterparts that do it. So the key, again, is know what you're dealing with before you start anything. And don't just go in and start setting off bombs. And I have to just go back to the DE thing real quick. That would probably work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we've seen we've seen homes and businesses destroyed by the bombs. They're called a bomb because they do explode sometimes.
Oh, no way, really?
Those
Those
bombs
ones-
that you buy,
That you set off and you have
Right.
to leave for a couple hours. And,
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
Because they have petroleum repellents, the thing that makes the bomb come out. Right.
Propellant.
Yeah.
Propellant, that's the
Yeah.
word I'm looking for, thanks.
yeah, lots of petroleum in there, and then you get a spark, and if you
Really?
well, again, in our business, we say read the label. The label is the law. But if I gave you a bomb, or if you were going into the store to buy a bomb, generally you'll just go in and say that bomb looks okay. I'll take that.
Right.
And it might be one bomb for 500 square feet, and people will put in 3, 4, 5 of them because they figure
More is better.
I think the insect only dies once, but that's not what people think about. They think the more insecticide they use, the better, and it's absolutely the wrong thing to do.
Yeah.
And the diatomaceous earth, just to go back to that, I just want to make sure everybody understands. Diatomaceous earth, people talk about safety of the pesticides, mishandled and misused. It can be situational, I'll call it. It can create some breathing problems, and it can actually repel the insects if it's not used properly. And don't ever go to the store and buy swimming pool diatomaceous earth that you use in swimming pool filters. That is absolutely dangerous
Really?
to do that. Yeah.
Is it just is it a
totally
bigger,
different
bigger
product.
fibers that can get in your lungs and?
It's just the wrong material. It's
So
not,
it-
yeah.
Is it fundamentally different than diatomaceous? I mean, it's the same
There's
name, so-
marine diatoms and there's freshwater diatoms. I believe it's the freshwater diatoms that are the best ones
That's
to
the one
have.
that we're talking
And
about.
so
right.
you want something that's specifically formulated for killing insects. That's the idea, not for filtering junk out of your pool.
Okay.
See, what's important here too is, like Gary had mentioned, the eggs that are laid. A lot of this stuff will take care of the insect walking across it. But once you get rid of them, you still have the eggs to contend with. And that's where the issue lies. People will go in and spray chemicals and do whatever and feel, I think we got them because they go in the next day, there's a bunch of dead ones on the floor.
Right.
But there are the eggs, and maybe Gary could talk to of how how do we get rid of the eggs? I mean, they could be crawling in plugins. They
Yeah.
could be laid in plugins behind
That's right.
Wasn't
pictures.
there one testimony of one landlord in Manchester that has like a multi-family home that he can't even rent it out anymore because no matter what he does, they're in the walls, they're in the.
Wow.
How do you get rid of?
And well, he's very responsible kind of property manager, so he's not going to rent any of those units out until he knows that he's gone to absolute zero. And as I said, eradication is a very, very difficult thing to achieve. Where anyone can introduce a bed bug, day after we do heat treatments, a month after we do chemical treatments, and there would be nothing there to control them. And going back to what Ralph said about the bug bombs and so on, and the sprays, that works fine for any bugs that are out in the open, but that's the problem. How many bugs do you see out in the open? They spend 90% of their time hiding back and deep in cracks and crevices. That's where you got to bring the fight. You got to bring the fight to them. You can't expect to kill them by putting materials in the living space that we occupy.
So how do you do that? You like spray into those cracks and crevices and.
Yep.
Basically have to open them up. You have to disassemble furniture. You have to remove the cheesecloth from the box spring. It's very, very labor-intensive work.
Now, how does as somebody like I said with eczema, I put the I mean, you get them at Walmart, those barriers over your mattress and over my box spring to
Encasements.
try to encasement to try to control dust mites. Do those also help?
Yes.
Yep. They actually, it depends on how you're going to use it, but they will physically encase the bed bug if they assume that there might be bed bugs on the mattress or the box spring. And if you had to make a choice because of the cost of some of these things, I'd cover the box spring before I'd cover the mattress.
Really?
Because the box spring gives the bed bug many more harborage areas, as Gary said. They love those tight-fitting cracks and crevices. And imagine a wooden frame of a box spring that has all these places where the bed bugs can hide. So, and once you get that mattress cover on there, it also eliminates a lot of those cracks, crevices, the seams, the buttons, and the bows where the bed bug can hide. It physically makes a nice, smooth surface that's easily inspectable.
Right,
It doesn't
right.
stop the bed bugs from being on there. It just makes them much easier to pick off. And I think Gary said
And if
that
there are
earlier.
any
The
inside
sooner
there-
you can catch these things, the easier they are to control.
And it also prevents them from feeding. So if you, in other words, if you've encased bed bugs inside the box spring, now they'll eventually die because they can't feed through the cover.
That was
they
the other
can't
thing
get
that-
at you,
and-
and they can't escape from it. And so the none that are going to be able to get inside there, the none that are going to be able to get away, and they can't feed through it. So
Okay, now the other thing was that if they're encased, how long? I forgot how long these things can survive without food.
yeah, I mean, you don't want to lose sleep over that because unfortunately you're not going to starve them out. So in other words, we wouldn't want folks to take their bed or something like that or a couch that's infested and put it in storage for a year or a year and a half or 2 years because there's no certainty that that will kill them. These bugs are survivors. They're derived from bat bugs, which live in caves and then roost in our attics and unheated places and so on and so forth. And we have little brown bats that migrate to caves in Vermont, spend the entire winter there, and then come back in the spring. Well, the bat bugs are right up there in those roofs, hanging out in the wintertime all the way. And they come back, the bats come back, and they pick up right where they left off and start feeding on them. So you're not going to starve these things to death. They just have too low a metabolism.
I wish I had that.
But I think an important.
Sometimes on the house floor I have it's pretty low.
Do you? Yeah.
Yeah, I can just pass right out. It almost had to wake me up a couple times, right?
Never had to wake you up.
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. You will.
What's important though is I know I've had success with people that want to move. See, the issue is a lot of the issues in the cities is that if I move into an apartment and I have bed bugs, I want to leave. I want to get out of here. I'm getting out of here. So I'm packing up my stuff and I'm moving. Well, I'm bringing them with me.
Right.
I'm bringing them with me. Now, I've been successful with 4 or 5 tenants that I've known who, prior to them moving, we actually, Atlantic Pest had this heat truck. And I think it was $1,000 for 3 rooms or something to that
A
effect.
little bit less than that now, but yeah,
Okay.
about $900 or something. Yeah,
And we heated all their furniture before loading it on a truck and moving it to the new apartment, and we've had success with that. So I mean, that's an important thing to just it's not a geographical cure
Yeah.
if you're not doing a heat treatment because you're just bringing them with you.
Right, right.
But another case of turning the insect's biology against it, right? The insect is geared up to moving with us everywhere we go. So let's take our stuff and let's heat treat it often. Let's take our clothes when we think we may have been exposed to bed bugs and let's throw them in our dryer. Let's take our computer bag when we've gone on a trip or something like that, or our luggage if it's soft luggage, and let's throw it in the dryer when we return. Let's wash all our clothes dirty and clean when we return from a trip.
I thought about this the other day. I didn't incorporate it in my invention, but I was thinking about those Redbox the videos that people are renting, and they're basically hook and a ride on those. Is there any way you can use obviously? Well, not obviously. I don't know what the temperature is. You can heat it. I know that you burn a CD, but you're not supposed to burn them. But sorry, my mind drifts a bit. Can you use ultraviolet light and things like that to kill them? Like, in other words, scan the box when it comes in, say of a red box video thing, so it actually kills anything inside before it goes on to the next person. Do they do anything
Not
like
a bad
that?
idea. I mean, they make a small heating
Wait,
unit
wait,
that
wait,
you could
wait. What'd you just say?
I said not a bad idea,
That's two.
but
Wow, that's
Oh, yeah.
good.
My invention and not a bad idea.
That's
Right.
savor this. Savor this
I know,
moment.
and it
Yes.
hasn't happened before.
Yes, I
And I've been
know.
on the show for like almost 2 years.
I know. Yes.
but the problem is, would 130 degrees, harm a tape? Probably doesn't, because we heat
Yeah.
houses with tapes and CDs in them all the time. It's getting the heat into them. But we have an issue with books and libraries. People returning books. The health
That's why I
department
don't
here in
read.
Manchester's had to deal with that.
Right?
We have some clients that travel quite a bit, and they actually, like Gary was talking about, it's called a Pactite, and it basically is a self-contained heating chamber. And, if you have concerns, if you've been somewhere where you think you might have been exposed to bed bugs, anything that you can fit into it, as long as you don't overload it, and it has an internal heater in it with a little blower, and it makes like a convection oven. And they'll even go up to now the Pactite closets, quite a bit bigger, but obviously the cost goes up as well, but
Well, could you
those
get
can be used.
can you get like one of those and like put stuff in it and then clean it and take that out and put another load in it, almost like you were putting it in the dryer? Because the books don't do that good in the dryer.
No, they don't. But the dryers work
Washing
great.
machine's okay.
And that's, I think Dr. Potter from University of Kentucky did some studies, and he said 10 minutes in the dryer, the average temperature in the dryer should take care of all life stages of the bed bug.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We recommend going through a complete cycle just to make sure, and we tell people, again, don't overload the dryer. Don't put too much stuff in there, because then you might not get the right airflow.
Okay.
But I agree with. There was an apartment in Manchester that I worked on that was infested. You pick up furniture and they'd be crawling all around you.
Wow.
So I would go home. I'm telling you, I would go home. I mean, I did this for about, I don't know, eight days in a row. And I would go home, and in my apartment, in the hallway, I would strip down everything: socks, shoes, everything. Take it inside, put it in the dryer, and I never had an issue. So there are, you could live with these bugs. You could live with them. Actually, they lived with them in the 40s.
Yeah.
That's why they had metal beds. That's why I always thought it was a French Canadian thing. Those little glass things that they put under
Under the bed legs.
under the bed legs. I thought
Yeah.
those were just a French Canadian, adornment or something.
Yeah.
They were
That's
bed
what they're
bugs.
for?
That's what they were for.
Yeah.
They were for bed bugs.
Because my grandmother always had those coasters she had under
got it.
everything.
Yeah.
They actually have come out with some new, they're called interceptor cups, and they're basically the same premise. They're with plastic, and, kind of like you were mentioning about with your invention, about the bed bugs going in and then they can't get back out. That's, in essence, what those things do. Yeah.
No kidding. Because
Yeah.
my grandmother had coasters under everything.
Yeah.
I said, man,
Right.
what's the point of having furniture if you're not going to use it? She had freaking plastic on it. That's probably why she had plastic on everything,
Oh,
right?
That's right.
that
Exactly.
makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah.
Exactly.
I didn't
Yeah.
know that. I thought she was just like so. I figured. Well, back then, people couldn't just buy another couch. It would
Right.
be months
Right.
and months and months of saving to get a couch.
Yeah.
So I figured it was. She's just like that protective, but apparently that's probably why the old people all had plastic furniture that
Yeah.
really stunk to sit on during
Yeah.
the hot, humid day.
Right.
So there are things you can do to your bed that will give you a good night's sleep, that you won't get bit.
Can't you just do enough drugs,
That's the first goal.
Pat?
I'm not sure if bed bugs reproduce on drugs. I think
no,
they still may.
like you are on drugs. In
Still
other
they
words, well,
may.
you're what?
Oh, I'd be on drugs?
Yeah, so you sleep through it anyway.
Well, you sleep through it anyways, because when they bite you, don't they let a little serum out? You don't feel them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you don't feel them, so you don't feel the bite. And they're afraid of you. So when you move, it's not like a flea that's looking for you. They
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
care if you know they're looking for you. Bed bugs are afraid of you. They when you move, they run away.
Yeah.
They don't want to be caught.
How fast do they go?
I'm not sure.
About the speed of a lady beetle. Ever watched a lady beetle walk?
No.
We
I
got
can't say I have either, to be
No.
honest. But
There's a great National Geographic video that you can watch if you go to YouTube and
Do you have to be an entomologist to appreciate it?
appreciate the video. No,
No.
No,
this
okay.
is for anyone. Yeah, it's very,
Okay.
very good.
I'm just not personal.
No, it's okay.
yeah,
I'm
No
a jerk.
offense
huh?
taken.
So we're tied into the 1940s. I mean, this was an issue back then, and I mean that's why sleep tight, don't let the bed bugs bite. They would actually earlier than that, 1800s, they used to tie hay, right, and they used to tighten it up when you went to sleep, firm up the hay. So they would tighten it up, sleep tight. That's what they meant. Don't let the bed bugs bite.
What did tightening up the hay mean?
Well, they were tightened when they would loosen it to air it out, and then before they went to bed, they would tighten it up.
The hay acted as the first mattress.
Yeah, as the first,
Basically.
so it would be firmer when you
Okay.
went to bed. So they would tighten it up.
And then
That's
let
why
it
they
air out.
said sleep tight. That's what that was meant by sleep tight, when you would tighten the hay up.
This is not a good show. Well, the thing is usually every week I come up and explain to the people in Manchester why Democrats are so horrible. He's coming on knowledgeable and knowing what he's talking about. It's kind of ruining.
Well, that's just through them. I'm that's just been sitting with them.
Oh,
You need to sit with some people every now and then.
okay.
I mean, nothing
I feel
about
better.
Matt, nothing wrong about Matt. I'm not saying.
No.
It's all right. We can see
mean-
other people.
Yeah, okay, so he's
I'll
giving you
wait for you.
permission. You can see other people. That's what I said. Yeah, I mean, these guys. I know too much about bedbugs. I didn't want to know this much.
I'll be here
I
when
did
you
not
come
want
back.
to know this much about bedbugs, but I
No.
do. And
I
know?
didn't know. I still don't know that much, but I didn't know anything about bed bugs till, the rumor is that the Judiciary Committee had bed bugs, and then, next thing you know, you guys came in. It was actually pretty interesting. Pretty gross, too, because they caught and pick and pass these around, and some of them were actually a little bit bloody, I think, or something,
Oh.
but, oh, yeah, it was pretty gross.
But that's precisely the problem, is because we're not able to talk about them, we're not able to share stories, we're not able to share, what we've done to control them, and that knowledge has been lost.
Well, see,
And there's so much stigma associated with it that there's no free exchange of information.
Yeah, see, I
everybody-
thought it would be really funny, so that's why I did the show. I mean, there is a certain amount of comedy to bed bugs, I think. I mean,
well, it's been a cute little fairy tale forever.
it actually
Sleep
has.
tight, don't let the bedbugs bite.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
It actually has, yeah.
But living with them is tough. Like I said in committee, one of the apartment buildings I went into, there's a 9-year-old's room.
Oh yeah, little
He
kid.
had lines of blood. I mean, not 50. He had 100 or 200, and he would stay up all night killing the bugs off the wall.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
And he had lines. I mean, he had a mural of lines on it.
Wow.
I mean, you can't live like that. I mean, they don't carry disease per se.
No.
So that's been the stigma. That's why the health departments, you can't have ordinances or because they don't carry disease. I mean, they.
But psychologically, I
Right.
think that's the new arena of bed bugs. I think is the psychological impact that bed bugs have.
I can tell you as
It can be devastating to the wrong person to
Sure.
have to
I can
fight
tell
with
you
bed
as somebody
bugs.
who had
And it's-
severe eczema, staying up all night,
Yep.
itching,
Right.
emotionally destroys you.
Yep.
You
Right.
know, and it that I when you brought this is depressing now.
I know, right?
Yeah, we should talk about something else. What else? We could talk
Oh, good, Gary. Open up.
It's
Open up, Gary. Let it out.
No.
Just let it out, Gary. We love you, man.
But no, you're in a safe place.
I'm in the same place.
That's
No,
a
I
really
don't
good
think so.
point, though, because it's a really good point, though, because just like you, that kid that stops killing bed bugs or afraid to go to sleep because he has bed bugs falls asleep in school.
Right,
It's
can't
the only
function in
safe place
school
for him to fall asleep.
Yeah.
Because these bugs really play with your mind. They attack you when you're totally asleep, come and feed on your blood, and then disappear so you can't find them.
So it's almost like women, in a way. They just destroy you when you least expect it.
If anyone's wondering, no, Gary's wife doesn't watch this.
Yes, sure.
No,
Good
no,
thing.
she doesn't watch the show. Yeah, no, I remember that testimony. That was disturbing for a little kid to go through that kind of
Yeah.
crap. And that was one of your apartments
Yeah.
that you saw that in.
Yeah, and the elderly also. The elderly are. The elderly are the type of people that want to. Our elders want to take care of their bills. They want to keep everything on the up and up, and
They don't
they're
wanna complain.
They don't want to complain, so they don't want to tell you. And they're going to pay anybody anything to take care of the problem, and they'll pay them forever. So you know, our first, 2 years ago, I brought this bill in, and they,
Really?
I introduced the bill, and then they wouldn't allow any more testimony. They shut
No.
that. They shut the
Really?
yeah, because they didn't want to hear about how bad bed bugs were. So they did give us a committee over the summer. We had a committee at the
Was
state
it, this,
level.
was it pretty much the same bill?
Yeah, well, no, it was more. It was it was stricter than this.
Okay.
Yeah, this bill was worked on by landlords. The other bill was just here's what we need.
Okay.
We got our first goal, the education process. Just educating people. Where do you call? How do you react when you know you have a bed bug?
See, that's the problem with people tuning into this. They don't tune into this for education. So I don't know.
And they don't know how to react when they see
Yeah.
it.
Well, you had two
Probably
callers. How many normally is that average?
That's our viewers.
Yeah, but is that the average
Viewers?
calls? Yeah, is that the average calls?
No, we had 10. We had 10 viewers, and then you said somebody got pissed off at us.
Yeah,
We lost that one.
yeah. So now we're down to 9,
Nine.
and then
Yeah.
I think
So this is educational for those 9 viewers.
Yeah, but they're very often intoxicated.
That's okay. Something will absorb.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Something will absorb.
And even if it's only a small amount that absorbs, 10 people can train 10 people more. Because what happens, because there's so much stigma associated with this bug, is that, Ralph,
Yeah.
I'm sure you had this experience. You go to a party or something like that, and you don't get anything to eat, you don't get anything to drink until you've answered all this person that's got you cornered in the corner, all their questions about bed bugs, because either they sent a kid to college or away to camp or,
Right.
some other place, and they had a report of bed bugs. What do I do? Or they got a book out of the library,
Right.
and now they found one in their house. What do they do?
Now, before we only get a couple minutes, so how do we get in, Ralph? How do we get they get in touch with you if they have questions for you or?
Well, they can go online, website atlanticpestsolutions.net,
Right.
and they can reach us that way. And again, that's probably the best way. I think the Bed Bug Action Committee has a website also that's very informative, by the way. It's got some great stuff on there, and that's a good resource as well. Bed bugs, there's so many different websites, but one I found that's really great for people, the average consumer, is called bedbugger.com, believe it or not. It's based out of, I believe, New York City, and it's got a lot of good forums on there, lots of good information, lots of frequently asked questions, and it's what I call real world. It's people who have had bed bug issues, the trauma of bed bugs, what to do, how to find a good pest control person, how to deal with legal issues, how to find a lawyer, how to find products that they can buy online, information on how to do it themselves.
bedbugs.com?
It's called bedbugger.com.
Bedbugger.com. Gary, you got
Yeah, so it's JP Pest Services, with an S at the end of services.
out of Milford or you?
Adam Milford, yeah.
Okay.
And jppestservices.com is where you'll find us on the net. And then, our phone number, if you want that. I don't know if you want me to give that as well, but 603-673-2908. And
Okay.
we'll, be happy
If you
to
guys
do-
want to give me some of the information, I can put it on Facebook too,
Yep.
Okay,
or
great.
email it to me.
I'll
I
give
can
you
put
a
on.
card at
Sure,
the
we
end.
can
But
give you a
just
card.
before I leave, I had a couple questions because you're an entomologist, right?
Right.
Okay. This is just to prove it. Why did it take too long to film the two towers?
Too long to film the two towers.
No clue? The ant spent too much time lumbering along. Well, you're an entomologist. Okay, so
But I'm bummed.
why I made these up myself. I probably
I,
can't tell.
I,
but
thought-
anyway,
I guessed that.
why wouldn't the ant leave the boat? He was afraid to disembark. Okay, see, he's not an entomologist. He doesn't even know
I know,
any of
right?
these.
Yeah, he doesn't know anything.
Why was the ant kicked out of school? Because he was naughty. Okay, so, and where did the ants carry their supplies for the Battle of Enron? In their trunks. Okay, wait, just a couple more.
It's an elephant joke.
Yeah, but trees have trunks too. Okay,
They
so as they approached the battle, why did the oak lag behind? He had a corn. Okay, where did Sauron put his morning coffee? On the end table.
That's my favorite. I like that one. You saved the best for last. Well done, Gary. All right, we gotta go.
All right, we gotta go. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thanks
One of
for
my
having us.
favorite Democrats.
Well, good. Yes.